Hello and welcome. Going to be doing a little Hanoi commentary here. For this class setup, I have a Silence FAMAS, Hardline, Sleight of Hand Pro, and Marathon. I want to do this to demonstrate that you don't need to have big kill streaks to get a lot of kills. Been watching a lot of commentary online recently, as I am a student of the game, and I've noticed that in 95% of them, they're either going for Chopper Gunner and Dogs, which I find really boring, because everybody knows that Chopper Gunner kicks ass. And once you get it, you're going to get a bunch of kills. However, getting there is usually pretty boring. I had recently myself been going for Chopper Gunner and Dogs, getting there on a pretty consistent basis, but found myself in a pretty bad routine where I'm doing the same thing every game, which is very boring and ends up in burnout. There's definitely advantages to going for bigger kill streaks, but you can do the exact same thing going for smaller ones. In fact, a lot of the elite players, the run and gunners that have a 3+ kill death ratio, are going for spy plane and counter spy plane, and not for Chopper Gunner and Dogs. I find one of three things happens when you go for Chopper Gunner and Dogs. Either you get there very quickly and have an extremely good game, get there a little bit late and have a good game, or you miss out and end up getting really angry. Going for lower kill streaks really lessens the pressure on you to do well. You can actually have a pretty good game if you die a lot. It's not a big deal. Now, if I can, I'd just like to talk about style of play for a moment. There's a lot of different styles of play. There's your camper. Most people don't like campers. Personally, I don't care if you camp. You can camp all day. I will come in and shoot you. I used to camp a lot. I won't lie. That's how I learned how to play the game, and I ended up picking up other styles as I went along. I think it's very important to be a well-balanced player. And what I mean by that is you got to switch it up. If you camp a lot, take a couple days and run and gun. You're going to end up tanking your kill dash, sure, but you'll end up being a better player for it, and that's really what counts. Same goes with run and gunners. If you hate campers so much, you need to learn how to play like a camper. Once you do that, you'll be much better at killing at them, trust me. I used to play with a guy called Riznappled. He was one of the most talented Call of Duty or first-person shooter players I've ever seen in my life. He had a kill death over 4 with over 100,000 kills, and it was all legit. The guy was extremely talented, and I ended up talking to him a couple days about how he played and what he did to get all those kills, because he's always at the top of the kill leaderboard and always awesome. And how he explained it to me is there's 3 zones in the map at any given time. Obviously it changes as the game does and where people are spawning, but there's the dead zone, that's where nobody's at. The neutral zone, which is the area to the side of where you and the enemy is spawning, and the action zone, which is between where you and the enemy are spawning. You want to find the neutral zone and stay there. Now, if you're running gunning, you don't want to run straight at the enemy. This may seem like the good idea. You're going to get a lot of kills this way. You might rack up some good 25, 30 kill games, but you're going to end up dying about 20 times, which isn't really that helpful to your team, to be honest. If you're running that much into the enemy spawn, it's going to switch spawns, which just messes up your teammates who are trying to sit back and shoot. So what you need to do is find out where the enemy's spawning. How do you determine this? Is you look at where your teammates are. This will always determine where the enemy spawns. Each time you spawn, you want to take about 5 seconds and look at the minimap. Obviously while you're moving, but don't look at the screen, look at your minimap and try to dictate where you think the enemy is going to be. Then you want to circle around to that area. If all your teammates are on the right side of the map, all the enemies are going to be on the left side of the map. It's really not rocket science, but it does take a lot of practice to get used to. If you get really good at it, you can actually get up behind where they're spawning, and there'll be 3 or 4 guys lined up in a row, which is great. Here I blow myself with a grenade. That was an idiot move, but happens to the best of us. As a general rule, you don't want to run with the pack of your teammates. This is just going to generate bad action for you. There's going to be somebody camping waiting for you all to run around the corner. You got to find that area so you can get around the side of the campers. Once again, this takes a lot of practice. Try not to get frustrated if you're dying a lot when you first try this. It's really not a big deal. Really, with any style of play, it's about reading the minimap. Even if you're a hardcore camper, it's all about the map. Learning how to read the map when you don't have a spy plane up is absolutely crucial to being a good player. Once again, practice, practice, practice makes perfect. And perfect practice makes perfect. The more good games you have, the better you feel. A lot of people don't like this map because they don't understand where the enemy is going to be coming from. There's this area right here, and that long building. I find that 85% of the action happens in this little area right here. Unless the action goes to the street because they're all camping back there, then it's a whole different game. You can get a lot of kills running around just this little area. You know, run and gunning is really about trickery too. You gotta know when to slow down and stop and wait for the enemy. If you know you're right in their spawn, you might want to find a good corner to hide in for a second until they all run past you, rather than trying to run in head first and get all the kills. Really, I don't find perks that important. Marathon's pretty important if you're going to run and gun, but it's not a necessity. A lot of people use hacker when they run and gun because they get hit by claymores, and I totally understand that because I'm a claymore user myself. Now, when you run and gun, you can still lay down claymores. You don't want to lay them down where you think you're going to be. You want to lay them down beforehand so that when you get into the enemy spawn and they spawn on the other side, they spawn into your claymore. That's how you get kills with them. Another thing to mention, when you're running around in the neutral zone, you're trying to find that soft area in the map between you and where the enemy's spawning. Be very aware that good players with Ghost also use this area. Although I'd say most players that use Ghost are more interested in sitting in a corner and not being seen, there are some very good Ghost players that run around in the neutral zone. So never trust your minimap too much, just use it as a guide to get where you're going, but don't let your guard down because there's nobody on your minimap. Frankly, this is one of my favorite maps. There's so many different alleyways and buildings and people to run up behind. It's a really fun map to run.